But one of the things, honestly, that I love about NLP is that you literally, as a practitioner and a master practitioner, you listen to someone tell you all about their challenges. And honestly, through your knowledge of language, you will be able to unravel how they got the result they didn't want and help them just tweak something inside to help them get the result they do want.
Welcome. Lynn Robinson today is my guest. I'm so honored to have you here today. I feel like you're a very, very special person in so many different ways. And I'd like you to share with our audience, Lynn. Tell us about what you do.
That's such a big question. In terms of my work, what I consider my heart work, my passion, is really helping people transform their lives and live a better life, be successful in business, be successful in their life in general. And I do it through, and I think you're aware that I'm a certified trainer of NLP, and so everything I do is really based on the NLP model, and it's just how powerful the mind is, and how honestly, how when our mind, our thoughts, and our words and our actions are all fully aligned, life just flows. And so my job is to help people truly congruently line up. And you could say head, heart, and gut if you like, but everything has to be fully aligned, and then life is beautiful.
Now, NLP, for those people that don't know what that means, can you explain what NLP stands for and how does that really work?
So it stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And it was created or developed back in the 70s. And it is really about creating excellence. So what they did was they modeled people. You know, there's some people that are very good at what they do, and then there's other people that are absolutely excellent. And so what they did was they modeled what's the difference between good and excellent. And when I say modeled, I mean they went inside their head. What are their values? What are their beliefs? What emotions are attached to it? How specifically do they do that? And that's really how it came about. It started out by modeling therapists for behavior, and then they started modeling people that were excellent in business, education, and so it's really expanded quite extensively. So.
And now this is used in the corporate world, like
absolutely.
vastly. I know you do corporate, you've been doing corporate training for a long time.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard of NLP, or Neuro-Linguistic Programming, was through Anthony Robbins, of all people.
Yeah.
So I remember doing some of the exercises, and they truly were life-changing for me. Something so simple making a huge difference. I think those probably were the most pivotal times for me and how my life changed because of the Neuro-Linguistic Programming exercises.
I know, it's really amazing because a lot of times what I might share, people intellectually know it, but they don't know how to change it. They don't know what to do, right? Or how to do it. And so like you say, there's processes. Everything about NLP is about processes. Literally, it's the how to make those changes and to make it simple and to have people really recognize that they're powerful and that they can change. I mean, the brain has now, the neuroscience backs up everything, which I love, but the brain is totally plastic. It has that plasticity that allows us to change so easily. So I mean, honestly, I've been doing it for so many years, over 20 years, and I still absolutely love it.
The beauty of what you do is not only that you train people to be practitioners themselves.
Yes. And master practitioners.
So you're like at a certain level. You're not just using it for yourself and just sharing the information. You're actually training people on how to use this, which is incredible. So can you share a story that demonstrates the power, like maybe something, or maybe one of your clients or in your own personal life, how neuro-linguistic programming, using that has shifted things? Something like an actual example that we can sort of picture.
Okay, so Well, the thing that popped into my mind is fairly extreme, but one of Mel's friends, so my daughter Melanie, of course, her friend had an experience. Her children were in a car accident, and they were, one was very seriously injured, and he had to be, the helivac came and took him off to the hospital. It was just so traumatic for her. And so what ended up happening is she actually went to a regular psychologist. This was quite a few years later. And the process that was used caused her to have flashbacks, and she couldn't get rid of these flashbacks. So Mel and I hopped a plane, went back to Ottawa, and honestly, we've got videos of it, although I'm very bad at remembering I have videos. I don't usually do those things to promote, but she gave us permission. And in hours, the trauma part was gone. Before that, she couldn't talk about it. She couldn't think about it without breaking down. And honestly, in the first 2-hour session, she was able to talk about it. So we did maybe 6 hours with her at different times. We were there just a few days. And we were really fortunate because she had to do a speech at it was a conference for people that had brain injuries. So we got to go and watch her, and she literally could deliver her speech when, before we got there, she couldn't even think about speaking about it. And the best news of all, 2 years later, she sent Mel a text, and she has not had one single flashback.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So that's extreme. So we don't always work with people with trauma, but the point is that's very extreme. It was the processes, and she's good.
And it's that powerful to go
Totally
through
that
that.
powerful.
So how is that used in the corporate world?
Well, basically, it's about helping them to change their mindset. So there are certain principles that you have to adjust to. And then basically having people really look at what's their behavior. So they say they want this. And so my job is to challenge, well, what are your actions? Did what you were about to say or do, is that aligned with who you say you are? Is that aligned with getting the result you want? So it's really having them take a look at what do they say, what's their communication, and what action do they take? And truly, it's a matter of lining it up. If this is what you say you want, then guess what? You're going to have to change what you say and what you do.
And what you say to yourself.
And what you say to yourself, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what people don't really recognize, because there's a lot of opportunity for people to read or see videos, and people talk about helping you change your beliefs or your emotions. I have to say, honestly, that is not done at a conscious level. You cannot have a belief that limits you and then just turn around and say the opposite and expect it to work. Again, it has to be lined up. You have to believe what you're saying, and it may be that you have to do some inner work to change that belief. What's the root cause of that belief? How are you going to change it to something that works for you? But you cannot just change it with an affirmation. I'm sorry.
I was going to say
Yeah.
that. I was going to say that. That is something that I have done. You know, affirmations, I will be right open,
Yeah,
and I've talked
sure.
about it openly. And it's true, because it's only the affirmations that I feel I believe to my core, whether it's happening
Yes.
right now or not. But if I believe it, and I can see it, and I can feel it, and I can taste it, and I can smell it,
Yes.
then it happens.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. And I do feel bad when people, read something and they think all they have to do is just do that affirmation 100 times. Well, it's not going to happen. I'm
No.
sorry.
It has to go deep.
It has to be deep within you. So you remind me too, when you said about NLP and the processes, one of the big things is teaching people exactly that feeling. So if you say you want something, if you do not have an emotional connection, if you just can't taste it, touch it, feel it, you won't make it happen. And then all you'll do is be successful at not doing what you didn't really take the energy to do anyways. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah. So So that's again what I love about it, because it teaches you how. Then all you have to do is practice this how. It's a natural process, just like you said. When you really want something, it happens. But it has to truly be aligned. Every bit of your body, mind, and soul has to know this is happening. I may not know when, and I may not know how, but it's happening.
The beauty of this is not just about the trauma. It's not just about corporate, but it's just for everyday life as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things which aligns with what you're saying is that when you change at a certain level, it doesn't matter if I'm working with you in the context of your business, when you make a change that's a core change, that plays out in your entire life, because you've changed who you are at the core, and that's what counts.
That's beautiful. Now, Lynn, you have a story, and I don't know if you're willing to share. I hope you do. But you have a story. Can you share with us your backstory of how you got to do what you do now? How you have an amazing relationship with your children. Let's start with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know, you're looking at me like a which story?
I know.
I have lots of stories.
Exactly.
And so I had one in particular in mind. But
Yeah.
let's start with your relationship with your children. At one point, you went through a divorce, through a separation, and you found yourself with 2 children. Can you
Babies.
share your babies? Can you share that story?
Yes. So when Melanie was 6 months old and my son was 3, my husband decided that he needed a break and wanted a different life. And so he left. And it was honestly the last thing I ever wanted. I really was in love with him. I've always wanted a family and a home, and it just meant everything to me, because I didn't have it when I was growing up. I never really had that place that was mine, that I could go to, that was my sanctuary. And so having it with my husband, I thought this was it for life. And he left. And so I was, put in a position where I had to make some changes. But it was really something, again, just popped into my head. So I don't know if I told you this and if this is what you're alluding to or whatever, but it was really challenging. And I can remember one night, this relates more to my relationship with my kids, with my family, is that I remember being on the phone with my ex-husband. And honestly, it's as real as if it, just happened. I can remember honestly sitting on the floor, leaning against my bed with the phone in my hand, no cell phones, and hanging up and just thinking, I can't do this. I just don't think I can do this. And then this little voice came into my head, which I feel I'm blessed with this little voice. It really helps me out a lot. And this little voice said, well, you can either sit here and cry about what you loved and lost, or you can be in joy about what you have that you love, which is your children. And, it's one of those things, and it sounds like nothing, but honestly, I've never forgotten it ever. And I kind of got this flash that took me out to being an older person. And I just saw people that were older, that were out there sad because their children were nowhere to be found. Now they had nothing to do, they weren't working, and now they're sitting there wanting their children to be around, but they didn't develop that relationship when they were younger, when the children needed them. And obviously when you have these flashes, it's instant. But I really paid attention to that. And the message was, if you want a relationship with your kids when they're older, then you need to have one now, because they need you now. Later they won't. They will develop all the habits to be on their own if you aren't there for them when they need you. So from that point on, honestly, and it may sound crazy, but if my kids, if they were in the other room coloring or doing something, and it didn't matter what I was doing, if they called and wanted to show me something because they were excited, I stopped what I was doing and I went. And I didn't feel bad about it, but I made that firm decision. It's that decision that you talked about. It's like they were important, and I did not want to be an old person and have nobody around me. So it really defined how I ended up really, I guess, parenting.
You have, I'm going to come back to your relationship with your children in just a minute.
Sure.
Just to go over that time when that, and if you're not comfortable sharing that, I understand. Were you working at the time when your husband
No.
left you? So you have to
No.
now get out there and figure something out. Like,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So are you willing to
yes.
share
Oh,
that?
yeah,
That
it's
part of it?
totally fine. I mean, I loved being a stay-at-home mom. Honestly, I loved hanging my diapers on the line. That was when you had cloth diapers and, you know, pushing my babies in the buggy. I mean, I loved being a stay-at-home mom. And so it was a real shock. And so for the first time, I actually felt I needed to have a career. I'd never even thought of the word career before. And so I ended up looking for a job. And at that time, again, it was a long time ago. So it was the newspaper looking under the career section. And I found this job that was, it was in commodity futures. I didn't even know what commodity futures were, but it said career. And so the naive me just went off to an interview and convinced them. They thought I was overqualified for some reason. But they ended up hiring me, and yeah, it was you know, it turned out to be a really great learning experience and lots of fun. Yeah, lots of stuff going on, but I still, my family was the most important. So I ended up quitting that job, and as I have mentioned to you before, I mean, it was really, I had an opportunity to make a lot of money. I was a trader. They taught me to be a trader, which is, I mean, honestly, I've been very, very fortunate in people kind of taking me under their wing and teaching me things. So yeah, it was like lots of money flowing, tons of money flowing. I mean, one of the guys, you know, that I was going out with, he had his own plane, another one his own yacht. I mean, it was a fun time. I can't deny that. However, I just decided, you know what? I want to get back to Port Coquitlam and be with my kids. So I quit. And even after that, so I dealt with a company in the States through this, and they came up and wanted me to open another office in Canada for them, and I didn't want to. I said no, and they kind of convinced me to do it. So I did it, but honestly, as soon as I set up the office, it was like I didn't belong anymore. I wanted to go back and be with my kids. So I've done a lot of things, a lot of different things. So instead of doing that and playing in that role, I hand painted on t-shirts and sold my t-shirts, and I taught ceramic lessons in my basement, and I made jewelry and sold it at malls. And, you know, I've done all kinds of different things, but my draw was that I wanted to be around my kids as much as I could.
At what point did you get into entrepreneurship, into the whole NLP training and the corporate? Because you've been very successful with that as well. What triggered that? What got you into that?
I really started that when my kids were in college.
Oh,
They
so
were
that's more
both-
like not
Well,
when they were young.
no, I mean, I started, so I worked at Yellow Pages. I was a trainer at Yellow Pages, loved training. Again, honestly, I have done a lot. I was a Mary Kay director. I had a pink car.
You've done a lot of things.
a lot of things. And so I was a trainer at Yellow Pages, which I absolutely loved. And because of that, I took NLP to be able to help salespeople increase their sales. And so I fell in love with the model. And I saw that I could do more than just help people increase sales. I could help them change many things and really create an amazing life and an amazing business. So I decided honestly, I know this probably sounds crazy, but I'd never even heard the word entrepreneur. I just decided that I wanted my own business. And it didn't occur to me that it wouldn't be successful, because I already was a professional trainer. So it honestly didn't occur to me. I had no business plan. I had no money, nothing. I just started.
You're so inspiring. It's encouraging, because people are watching this or listening to this who may feel like they're going from job to job or painting t-shirts, thinking that their life may never change into something different.
Yeah.
You are that inspiration that look at all the many different things you've done and where you are now and all the things you've accomplished. And you look back and what I get from you is that you feel like you've had a very rich life from all the experiences.
Totally. I've been so blessed, even with the NLP and getting into the corporate. I've traveled. I've taught in England, in London, in manor houses in England. I've taught in New York and just really amazing places. I didn't train in places that weren't too gorgeous, but I'm just so blessed. Like I didn't see, this is where I don't know again how people feel about things like this, but I didn't pursue things, but I wanted to work and travel. It was like a dream. I really wanted to work and travel. I decided that when I was 17 years old on my first trip to Hawaii, that I wanted to work and travel.
You just got back from Hawaii too.
I did just get back from Hawaii. So yes, exactly. And so, it was something that I wanted. And then all of a sudden, somebody phoned me to see if I could coach them in New York. So off I went to New York. And as I was coaching them, I did what was called shadow coaching. So I went with that person, my friend, and he's now one of my dearest friends. I shadow coached him with his clients, and he introduced me as one of their trainers. And lo and behold, right after that, they hired me to be one of their corporate trainers. So that's how I got to travel to those places.
That's so cool. That is so cool. Now, I'd like to go back to your relationship with your children.
Yes.
Because first time I saw you and Melanie, I've not had the opportunity to meet your son, so I only know Melanie. Yeah. And I don't know, for lack of a better word, I was blown away by the relationship that you and your daughter have. And you clarified that you have the same relationship with your son as well.
Yeah.
I've never seen such a bond between a mother and her children. And I've asked you before, you were a guest, you were a speaker at the Magnificent You Women's Conference. And I asked you, I put you on the spot at the end of your talk. Tell everybody. So I'm going to ask you again for the sake of our listeners and our audience. What was the secret? I know you said your family was always more important than anything to you. But what would you say was the one biggest factor, other than them being your priority? Because every parent is going to say, exactly, my kids are my priority. I die for my kids, right? Yes. But what made, I see the love you have for your kids is equally reciprocated.
Yes.
And sometimes we see in the relationship between parents and children, it's not quite balanced. Right? There is a little balance. It's not that one doesn't love the other. It's just a different way. Exactly. But the way you guys are, it's like harmony. It's harmony. You feel it, you see it, you sense it.
And if you saw my son, honestly, all three of us, we have that kind of connection.
Okay, so what would you say? What would you say to someone who's thinking about having kids, has little kids, has grown-up kids?
Yeah.
Tell me, I have a grown-up child too. What is the main ingredient? What is the secret that created that bond?
Well, I think honestly, my intention, because of that message that I got, I think that's one. But honestly, I really respected my children. So they really did as they were told, by the way. But I respected them, so they respected me. I respected them as little human beings. I always felt, I know they're shorter than me, but honestly, they just came in a little later than me. And so there was something about that I think maybe did it. And because I was a single parent, now I know a lot of single parents, it's a very tough time, and, they would rather not be. See, I think as a single parent, I got to be the parent I wanted to be. I'm not saying I couldn't have maybe done it with my husband, but the point is I didn't have one. So we just have really good memories, and we all did housework together. And still, we know the music. When the Doobie Brothers were here, my son was going to come. He couldn't make it, but he was going to come with my husband and I to see the Doobie Brothers because we used to do housework to the Doobie Brothers. So we had fun, but we shared. So, you know, there was just this sharing. I don't know what else to say. And even like doing housework together, it was like they weren't helping me. If we want a nice house, hey guys, let's go for it, you know? So I don't know what the answer is. I just love them so much, and they're just beautiful people. They're really beautiful people. I mean, you know Mel. Everyone loves Mel. My son's the same. Everyone loves him. He's just an amazing human being. And we talk all the time. We visit. You know, he shares things with me. He'll say, you know, like, you know, you're the only person I can talk to about this, or you and Mel. Like, the three of us really share.
I love the way you know, the way you think and the way you approach it. They're just little people. They just came
Later.
at it later.
Yeah.
I love that because it changes the way you look at them. You know, like I remember when I grew up, it was more. It was not like that. It was like, you do as I say because I'm older than you. It wasn't that. You don't feel respected as a child when you are in that kind of environment, right? So this really shifts things. So I hope that the people who have children are watching this or listening to this get the value of what you're sharing here, because it's so important. Our kids are the future. Well, I know your kids love you because I had the opportunity to talk to Melanie by herself.
Oh.
And yeah, she loves you so much. She does. Like, that's what I'm saying. Your relationship is so special.
I know.
It is so special.
So we've just decided, because we aren't doing our work together at the moment, we're taking a sabbatical we just had a 2-year contract that completed.
Because you work together.
We work together, yes, exactly. We just, as I say, finished a 2-year contract, which was great fun. So we got to see each other all the time, every, a couple times a week. And we were just both thinking like, oh gosh, this is awful, that we aren't seeing each other. And so we just decided on Thursdays now, I drive out to her place and hang out in the afternoon with them and hang out for dinner. And nothing special, just to be there, because we just don't get to see each other like we did, and we're really spoiled. And my son lives really close, so I can see him at the same time. And so that's what we figured out for Thursdays.
Nice. Very nice. We have dates.
We do.
Weekly dates.
Yes, exactly.
That is awesome.
And same with the grandchildren. Like, my granddaughter, who's 14, she just sent a text and said, can I come and stay with you and Pappy for this weekend? She used to come once a month and stay with us at her choice, just to hang out. And it's just so, I feel like, oh my God, she's a teenager and she wants to come and stay with us. Like,
that is very special.
I really do feel special. I feel just so grateful to have that. And maybe that's part of the relationship. Like, I'm grateful to them.
So what's Melanie's relationship with her daughter? Is it the same as you and Melanie?
Her daughter's 14 right now.
Oh, okay. So it's those years.
Those years. But I believe, yes, that they have a close relationship. It's just that what Melanie and I have doesn't show up until
later.
Yeah, and not
okay,
really
so that's
late.
good to know.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
Yeah, when she was a teenager, she wasn't perfect. Although again, I didn't notice.
Who is?
Well, that's it.
Who is
of
a teenager?
Course.
The perfect teenager is a rebel.
Exactly, or hides it really well, which that's what, a lot of the things too. See, my kids, honestly, I thought they were perfect. I really, really did. I've been so naive in so many things. So one time I was away and I came home, and there's this stain on my peach carpet, red stain. And so obviously something happened while I was away. Apparently they had a party and something got spilled, and they wiped it up with a red face cloth on the peach carpet. So there's this big red stain. But I've since found out that when they had parties, so that's the only time I knew, and they had to pay for that, by the way, they went through their jobs to get it cleaned. But they had parties that I didn't have a clue. They used to take pictures down off the walls and number the pictures so they knew where to put the pictures back on the walls. But I thought my kids were perfect. Now, I think it's still better that I thought they were perfect.
Right, that's probably good. And now you can laugh about it together,
exactly.
right?
Now we can laugh about it. Yes, I found that out many, many, many
That's very
years
smart
later.
of them to number the pictures.
Wasn't that smart?
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't be telling anybody. No kids can watch this.
No, I don't. I hope not. kids, do not do this.
Yeah,
Not good,
exactly.
not good.
But,
So going back to what you do
yes,
and your
yes,
training, thank you so
yes.
much for sharing that story, first of all, because I know it's very personal, and I kind of put you on the spot and like sharing all this stuff. But I feel it's important for us to share our personal stories because it helps other people know that they're human.
And I think that we're all different. Like, I feel I've been blessed and had a lot of success in many different ways, but I didn't choose to just go all out and build my company to the way that I know I could have. I've had opportunities where I could have just gone for it and had a huge company, but I didn't want to. And I think sometimes too, we're kind of led to believe now that we should go for it, you know? And I think it's important for women in particular to know you have to be true to yourself. It's okay. Do what works for you. You know, if you want to go for it, by all means, go for it. But don't buy into the
Someone
fact that you
else's idea.
should. Exactly. That everybody should be making $1 million and everybody should be successful in a certain way. You know, I feel, like I say, I feel I've had lots of opportunity. I feel very blessed for what I have achieved. I get paid very well for what I do. I love it, but it isn't my life. I love it and I'll give 150% when I'm working, but it isn't my life. And I don't believe it has to be. I don't believe you can't be successful without that.
So wise. So wise. Thank you for sharing your insight and your angle, the way you see it. And it's so important, like you said, you don't have to live up to someone else's expectation where you should. I mean, I'm using different words, but that's basically what you're saying, that, you know, not everybody should be the one going for the $1 million or for whatever it is that they feel they need to go because of what other people may be expecting them to do. It should really be from what really feels right in your core.
Exactly.
You go back to that alignment that you talked about in NLP, really aligning everything.
Yeah.
So with that, you're offering courses.
I am offering
in that
courses.
training.
Yes.
So can you tell us about the length of the courses? On how long does it take if someone wants to become certified?
Well, the certification course, it depends on the format, but basically it's 9 to 10 days of long days. There's a certain number of hours that are required to become a certified practitioner of NLP. And so I offer practitioner, I offer master practitioner, and help people implement it into their businesses. And even if they want to teach some of it, they're able to do that, not certify other people, but take it into their businesses, teach their employees. They're able to do that.
Can you use it with your family members?
Oh, can you which?
Can you use that? Let's say, let's say I take the course with you.
Yes.
For people watching, listening.
Yes.
I'm actually interested.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I'll be taking your course. I'll be taking the course.
Goody.
Is that something that you can apply with, let's just say, with your children or with your family? Is it something that you can, how do I say this? Again, not necessarily train people but in your family, but are there skills in there that you can actually help other people around you?
Oh, in practitioner, absolutely.
That are not in business, you know?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, so I guess it depends. If somebody wants to change, then that's different. But what you learn is one of the aspects of it, which a lot of people aren't familiar with, is language patterns and how to literally order and sequence the words you speak to get a specific result. So there's a lot of things that you can utilize with anyone in your life that will help you to get your outcomes, but also it adds a respect. So everything about it, what I love about it, and I'm not sure if everybody approaches it this way, but I just because it's a model, so I want to say from my perspective, what I love about it is you learn how to treat different people in different ways that respects them and works for them. So even things like rapport. So a lot of people, they think rapport is just chatting it up with somebody, but it's not. The chatting it up is like the smallest percentage of building rapport. So just again, if you think about it, so physiology, tonality, and words. Most people don't know that, but you learn how to do that. So couples will come. Honestly, I've worked with corporations, I've worked with couples, I've worked with individuals. Couples are really interesting. So if I'm working with a couple and they're complaining about the other one, and I might say to them, well, were you in rapport when you requested that? It's like they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, who has to be in rapport with your husband or your wife, right? You just talk to them. But that can help tremendously, knowing how to build rapport, having that respect instead of just bombarding your partner with ideas just because you're excited. Can be completely different if you consider them. So you pay attention to what are they doing? How are they looking? What state are they in? How do I approach them? And you're more likely in a relationship to have a lot of smooth sailing if you know how to do it and you apply it in that way. Absolutely.
That is so valuable in
And
so many different areas.
Well, your children too. See, people don't think to build rapport with their children. Well, rapport, when people are in rapport, it presupposes agreement. So if you want agreement, then you better learn how to get in rapport first. Know how to articulate your questions, when to tell and when to ask. It is really quite in-depth. It's easy to learn when you're committed, but it's in-depth from the perspective that you really get how to create relationships with all different types of people.
Fascinating. This is fascinating. So if people want to find out more about you and the programs, how do they get in touch with you? Your website?
Yes, well, they can either get in touch with me through my website, which is therobinsongroup.ca, or call me at 604-542-3008, or email me at lynn@therobinsongroup.ca.
That's beautiful.
And my website usually has all the courses that we're offering, and hopefully it's up to date. We're doing a practitioner course. I'm not sure when you're airing this, but we're going to start a practitioner certification course, which is the one that I'm hoping you will be able to make in January 2018. So that will be the next one.
We will make sure we'll have this one up before, so people know before it comes up, sign up. You'll be with me.
Yeah, exactly. And me.
And you, of course, will be with Lynn.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, for sharing your story, your expertise, explaining what NLP is about, so people that don't know what it is have a little bit of more of an understanding of what it is, and for being such an inspiration, because you really are.
Thank you so much. And may I just say one other little thing?
Sure.
I just remembered about our oils.
Oh,
so
yes.
I just wanted to mention about the fact that we have our new line that we're launching next March 2018, called Good Vibes. And so it's aligned with the NLP as well. So it's something else that helps you to feel centered and balanced, so that, again, you can communicate in a way that helps you build beautiful relationships. So that's all I'll say about it. But we're just very excited.
Do you have a website for that already? Or
Not yet. But Good Vibes. Oh, that's our URL is goodvibes.energy, but it's not up yet.
Okay. It may be, though.
Oh, it may be. That's right.
Be. So go check it out. If not, just keep following Lynn. You're on Facebook as well.
Oh, I'm very bad at Facebook.
You're very bad.
I'm very bad at everything. So I'll stay connected to you.
All right. You can always find out, though, because you give your phone number so they can, or email, so you can contact Lynn
absolutely.
through the email that way.
And thank you so much for having me, and all the good that you're doing out there and supporting women, and your new event coming up next year. And I'm really honored.
I didn't pay her to say that. I didn't pay to say that.
No, but I'm very honored.
Thank you so much. So we are here at Lynn's house because Lynn has asked me if we could just pick up the conversation from the interview we had, and you wanted to add a few more things that we were discussing as far as NLP. So I'm going to ask you first, if that's okay with you. You offer two programs in NLP.
Yes.
One is a practitioner and one is the
master practitioner.
The master practitioner. What is the difference between the two, and what does each one offer?
So I would say that the main difference is that practitioner gives you all of the basic tools. It's the foundation of everything. It's the mindset. It's a strong, strong sense of how the processes work. You get to work with other people. And the whole thing is practicing the skills. And if you're a coach or if you're already working with people, then you can take those immediately and just transfer them right into your business. If you haven't been working with people and you want to develop that skill, then master practitioner is necessary. Because in master practitioner, you still utilize all the foundational skills. They never get left behind. You always continue to build on them. But what you learn in master practitioner is you learn how to do breakthrough sessions, which is private sessions with clients. We have a process called Path to a Purposeful Life. You learn how to do that, walking people from their vision all the way through to their values, their identity, and most importantly, their behavior, and allowing them to make any changes that they need to make within their behavior, patterns that aren't working for them. I don't know if you've found this yourself, or you know of any people that somehow they just keep repeating things over and over and over again. And
I do that all the time. What's wrong with me?
Well, the thing is, it's not easy to recognize those patterns. And it's not easy to recognize how you did it, right? So as much as NLP is about looking at how to do it the way you want to do it, what is the process? What is the mental strategy? Because most people just think, I want to learn that, and they just go do. But really, if you really want to learn something or change something, you have to start with the mind. And then when you make that shift, then it's easy to make the other changes. But one of the things, honestly, that I love about NLP is that you literally, as a practitioner and a master practitioner, you listen to someone tell you all about their challenges. And honestly, through your knowledge of language, you will be able to unravel how they got the result they didn't want and help them just tweak something inside to help them get the result they do want. It's so amazing in terms of patterns. And so you get more of that. You learn so many processes. You learn how to do phobias. So some people, they can't leave the house because of their phobias. They can't fly because of their phobias. They live their life around a phobia, and literally in a couple of hours, if not less. Honestly, when I demonstrate it, it's probably 30 minutes, if it's that, where their phobias are gone. Absolutely gone. So it's really, master practitioner is more about building your confidence, taking the foundation, and then having structures. Literally, this is what you do when you see a client. This is step one, this is step two, this is step three, and so on. So that's kind of the difference between the two.
And it also helps people with addictions.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yeah. And I think that's, a lot of people do specialize in that and really help. I mean, even you can look at smoking as an addiction as an example, and within an hour, you can have somebody quit smoking for the rest of their life in an hour.
That's pretty remarkable.
So it really is, and it's really rewarding. I mean, I was just mentioning I had a client this morning, and she was telling me different things that hadn't been working for her. And they all looked different. So there was an issue with her children. Then there was an issue with a business colleague. Then there was an issue with someone she was supposed to be training. And they all appeared to be different, but every one of them was running the same pattern that didn't work. So once you recognize that's a pattern, then you're working at the right level. You aren't working at the level of behavior, what she's doing. It's what the heck's going on inside her head that is causing her to choose to make those choices. And once you got that figured out, things totally shift.
So who would you say would be a good candidate in their business to take the practitioner course? And I think for the master practitioners, obvious for coaches is a great asset to have.
Yes.
But for the practitioner, would it go beyond coaches, or would you say what other businesses, what other professions would benefit from having from having that training?
So I'm probably very biased, but I would say, honestly, I believe anyone would benefit because the first piece also is about self. So, it's one thing to want to change things outside, but you have to embody it and you have to make changes within yourself. When you make those changes within yourself, your business transforms. You transform self, you transform everything else. So, in my experience, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I've worked with so many different entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and large corporations. As I mentioned, I've worked with Hydro. I've worked with quite a few engineering companies, which most people would think engineers would not be interested, but they're amazing because they love the science behind how the brain works. And that's what I think is, right now, neuroscience is the big thing. And NLP has been teaching this since its inception. I mean, really, the brain science really now is just backed by science, but nothing new is happening. When you recognize how to shift the brain, honestly,
It can change someone from being completely insecure to confident.
completely. I mean, honestly, it sometimes I think, oh gosh, I'm on this soapbox and it sounds like it's the end all be all, but honestly, after 20 years, I really think it's honestly the best program anyone's ever going to take because the depth of what you learn to listen to language at a different level. You don't just listen to the story, you listen to what does someone have to be thinking in order to be able to describe something in that way. You really get inside someone's head and you can help them more than any amount of talking and talking will ever do. And same with beliefs. So often I see a lot of programs that say, you need to change your beliefs. Well, that's really great, except it's one of the most unconscious filters that you have. You have to work at an unconscious, deeper level. If you want to change those beliefs, you can't just say, oh, well, do an affirmation and now your belief is gone, because it is not going to happen. So I think to go back to your question, I really do feel that any business is going to benefit because you need to go beyond being an expert in your field. You have to master yourself in order to be able to utilize your skill to the best level you're ever going to use it. That's my opinion.
So much wisdom in those words. Was there anything else you would like to share?
Well, I just wanted to say one thing again about you and I have chatted about this briefly, but about people being aligned in terms of success. So, everything about the work that I do and about NLP is really about results, being results oriented and focused on achieving what it is that you want in your life, be that happiness or be it making a lot of money. One of the things that I love about this as well is that everything has to be aligned. And there's a way of aligning everything from your vision to who you are as a person, to the skills you need in order to achieve your visions, and to your behavior. And one of the things that I find is missing for most people is they know who they are or who they want to be. And then they go about doing what they do, but they never question, is what I'm about to do or say, or my actions or interactions, are they aligned with who I say I am at the core? So for me, one of the things that I think is most profound is having people really look at, did that behavior match who you say you are or who you want to be? And most people don't ask themselves the questions. There's a lot of questions you can ask yourself that really change your life. And most people are so busy doing and achieving that they don't stop. They don't have that awareness that will make the doing much, much easier. So for
So
me, it is about
they're not doing what they're doing may not necessarily be aligned with their values. So that's basically what you're saying.
their values or who they personally are, their identity at the core. And see, if you're not really aware of it and what they are, and that's again with practitioner and master practitioner, you learn to help people get beneath the surface, not the pat answers. we've all got pat answers about our values and our beliefs. There's ways of actually really helping people determine what do they really believe and what's really stopping them from being the person they want to be and doing what they really want to do in the world.
The
So,
essence of being genuine,
absolutely.
living your genuine self.
Yes, but if you can't figure out who that genuine self is, it's not fun.
And it's funny because I've worked with clients where that's one of the things that they've said to me. I just want to be authentic.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, what does that mean to you?
Exactly.
What are you doing that you're not? What's
Yes.
making you feel that way, right?
Exactly. And see, most people don't ask that question. So one of the things too, that people will use words, ambiguous words like authentic. As you said, well, what exactly does that mean? How would you behave? What would you do? What would you say if you were authentic? And most people they had never even thought of it that way. It's kind of like the flavor of the month. Everybody wants to be authentic. Well, what does that mean? So yeah, you'll be able to really help a lot of people figure out who that authentic person is.
Well, I'm really excited about taking the course.
And I'm excited to have you.
And just because now we have solid dates of when the
Yes.
program is, just to
Yes.
share when the starting dates are, and we could repeat the website so people can go online and
Yes.
sign up.
Yes. I think we'll have to do that. One of the things is I get very excited about the training, and the dates are not emblazoned in my mind. I know it's the end of January, so it does start the end of January, and the dates are on the website, and the website is therobinsongroup.ca.
I think it's the last week. I can't remember the exact date.
Last week
but
of
it's the last
January,
weekend. The last Friday of January, I believe.
think so.
Yes.
Yeah, that
So,
it starts. So yes. So yeah. I'm
so
very excited.
Check it out. Sign up if you can make it. It'd be great to have you there as well.
We have an amazing group.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. So thank you so much for sharing so much more on NLP, and hopefully your audience has had their interest piqued even more for those people who were not familiar with it. So please do go on the website. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Lynn or to me, and I can connect you. And that's it, I think.
Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah,
Good. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's just always such an amazing pleasure being with you. Truly.
Thank you. Same here.
Bye. Bye.